Okay, I see the meeting is streaming live and we are ready to go. A very good day to all our viewers from all over the world. It is wonderful to have you all here today at our international training workshop on social business. My name is Zinat Islam and I'm the Relations Manager Academia Network. Today's session is an introductory workshop to share our knowledge on social business and introduce you to some social business practitioners and academics in our network. We not only have our Nobel laureate Professor Mohammad Yunus talking today, but we're also joined by two social business entrepreneurs who have co-founded BWay, a social business that facilitates and improves access to fast, high quality, and affordable healthcare. They work to transform the way healthcare services are oriented for low income and vulnerable populations in Colombia. Today, I'm delighted to introduce you to Ms. Diana Carolina Quintero Giraldo, co-founder BWay, and Dr. Jorge Alejandro Garcia Ramirez, who's a medical doctor, Universidad de Caldas, Colombia, and also the co-founder of BWay. I welcome today Mr. Jose Alexander Mosquera Manchola, who leads our YSBC at Universidad de Colombia. Universidad de Externado in Colombia. Yunus Center is successfully completing a three-year-long project in Colombia, which involves supporting the growth of social business and academia in Colombia. And Jose will share about his experience today on this. And of course, we have our wonderful academic advisor, Professor M. Jangir Alam Chaudhry, Professor, Department of Finance, Executive Director, Center for Microfinance and Development, University of Dhaka. He continuously supports us and puts tremendous effort in making all our endeavors successful. We're also joined by our very own Executive Director, Ms. Lamia Morshed, who will also be sharing about her experience over the years today. We are also joined by many of our Yunus Center colleagues, Shihab, Monica, Maisha, Rakib, and of course our tech guru Mr. Aziz, who supports us throughout all our Zoom sessions every day. And so without further delay, we would like to start today's session, and I welcome Mr. Jose of Universidad de Externado to share some of his experiences in Colombia. Jose. Jose, you're on mute. Would you kindly turn your mic on? Oh, Jose, your mic is turned on mute. Mr. Aziz, can you please help him unmute?
Yeah, now ready. Okay, thank you for your introduction, Sheena. For me, it's a pleasure to be here. As you know, I'm Jose Mosquera. I'm working here in Bogota. Good morning here, good evening, good night in your countries. And it's a pleasure to be here and working with External University. We are the second Yunus Social Business Center in Colombia. Start this amazing advent, travels the last year, and now we are university. We are 11 faculties and about 15,000 students. And as a part to be, a business center, now we are working in different activities. Yesterday we had a workshop the same, similar to this one in Spanish. Many participants from different countries in Latin America. And now we are working in research project with the Professor Jahangir about how it's working social business in Colombia and how they are helping the peace process in Colombia. And also we launched this year the first social business context in Latin America. So we are in cooperation with universities in Mexico and Bolivia, and we already had 22 participants. So it's the first Latin American social business contest in Spanish. And we are working as well we received funds for 2 scholarships that we are going to give to the students here in the Externado University. So 1 man and 1 women will be part of the 8 that we have in the university. So this is all the information. We are so happy to be part of the Yunus family in the whole world and spread all the information about social business in Colombia and in all the places. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jose. We're delighted to be a part of this collaboration and look forward to spreading the message of social business all around the world. Now I would kindly like to request our very own Professor Mohammad Yunus, who needs no introduction, for his welcome speech. Professor Yunus. Mr.
Acha,
Aziz, would you turn the microphone off, please?
acha.
Now we welcome Professor Yunus. Professor Yunus, your microphone is mute now. Would you kindly turn it on?
Okay,
Yes.
it works now?
Thank you. Yes, it works. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you all. It's a wonderful occasion to have all my friends in front of me in such a remote places from where I am. I am in the remote place. I'm sitting in my home for the last 1 year. So still bound by the boundaries of the walls of my house. So it's good to see you all on the other side, all over the place. And particularly seeing Jorge and reminding me about Caldas and how the plane landed in Caldas in a very difficult way. All these exciting trips that I made to Caldas. And it's a good opportunity to get you, Jorge, and your team. Vive is a wonderful experience. I'm very happy that you're still working and moving on with your work. And I would love to hear the updates from you, how things are happening with you. And today, thanks to University of Externados of Colombia for organizing this. It's something to chat about, talk about what this is all about. And a good example is, of course, Vive. They will present it on their own. It's a very exciting social business idea that they have launched. But there are many, many other examples, which will be a good occasion today to kind of share with each other. That's the whole idea. It's not a classroom lecture or something. It's more of getting us together and reflect what this is all about, what our life is all about, particularly in the context of pandemic. Pandemic has given us a great opportunity to reflect. So this is part of that reflection, where we are, what we need to do, where we can go, which direction we must take in order to get rid of the things that we dislike and achieve the things that we like. So that sorting out process is very important. And pandemic has given us a good opportunity that way, since we sit home and not used to sitting home. Now we are doing that, and at the same time we are disconnected with the regular thing that we used to do before the pandemic. So that provides us a new environment to look at a different way and see things from a different perspective. So this is a good time to reflect and see where we are, what we do. And I keep reminding people that look, there's one strong theme, strong wave that goes on to hope that we can move on to the pre-pandemic economic situation that we left before the pandemic. So that we are the whole initiative is to push us back ourselves in that position where we are from, and we are eager to take the steps to go back to that position. And my innocent question is, do we really want to go back? Why should we go back? Is it worth going back? Or it is quite insane to go back? And I'm telling that it's quite insane to go back. It's suicidal to go back. So that's why we say that. Why do we say that going back is suicidal? That's not the world that we would love to be in. We are very happy that we are not in there. We are happy that we are away from there. This I tried to explain by saying as if before the pandemic, we are riding a very fast train coming to the last station of human existence on this planet. And it's because all the terrible things happening around us, pushing us to the end of our existence. And that's what the global warming is one that comes strongly to see how we are coming to that end. And all the scientists, all the people who are studying the environmental situation keep reminding us that the global warming is going on, is continuing, and very soon it will come to a stage where we will be reaching the point of no return. Even if we try the best possible, if we will sacrifice everything, still we cannot undo it because we have moved beyond undoing. So this is a little window that we have. This is something we have to do in a very aggressive way, in a very strong position that we have to take, that these are the things we must not do and these are the things we must do in order for us to survive on this planet. And that makes us also a situation where I can easily say human beings today is the most endangered species on this planet. We don't have much time left. If you look at ourselves as the most endangered species, and it's up to us to decide whether we make it come true, that we are endangered and finally we get extinct, or this is still we have some window opportunity to turn around. And that's when I come to the conclusion that try to recommend, and I recommend to you also in your discussion, that our first decision should be during this pandemic, no going back. We don't want to go back. This has to be a very bold decision. It's not an easy decision. It has to be a very tough decision, and hold on to that decision that we are not going back. Once we take that decision, we have to figure out what do we have to do in order to not going back, because the push is to push us back into that situation. And what is it that we need to keep us away from that? And again, we are very grateful to pandemic. Now that we can get off the train, and that's the no going back means getting off the train. And getting off the train means not doing the things we used to do, everything that we take. This is the path of no return that we don't want to avoid. That we definitely not go to that direction. But the other direction that we shouldn't do. One is the global warming. We know very vividly, very elaborately what creates global. It's everybody knows what contributes to global warming and who is responsible for global warming. And then we see that as a responsible person, if you want to survive, or we want our children to survive on this planet, maybe our generation will squeak out of this planet, still alive, but our next generation may not have that fortune. They may not get through their life. And that's why young people are demonstrating by saying that, telling their parents that you have stolen our future, that you have not left any future for us. You have taken it away from us, destroyed our future. Because we have really handed over a planet which will be about to be reaching the finishing line. So how do we stop that? And who is responsible? You can tell that the responsibility goes all around. It starts with me and you. We as individuals are responsible for it because we are the one supporting it. We are the one promoting it. So if we don't promote global warming, we don't do anything which contributes to global warming, then global warming will turn around. And as an individual, every day we make decisions which contributes to global warming. And how do we stop that? So we have to figure out what are the things we must not do in order to make this disappear. And we also blame the businesses. Businesses created this situation of global warming. And while we can accuse the businesses, at the same time, we must accuse ourselves. Because since we buy their products, since we buy their services, that's why they produce it. If we don't buy, they won't be able to produce it because it's useless to produce something which people don't want. So primary responsibility lies on us as individuals, what we want to do with our life. Children should be doing what everyday life should be around us so that we can stop the global warming. And the second part of that no going back is about the dangerous thing that we are creating every day is extreme wealth concentration. All the wealth of the world is concentrated in the hands of few people. And you see it everywhere, not just in Colombia. You go to the United States, you see the same thing. You go to Brazil, you see the same thing. You go to any country, you go to China, you see the same thing. All the wealth goes to few people. That's the way we created the machine, economic machine. Economic machine pushes the wealth in one direction and keep the people in one direction. That's the kind of strange machine we have built. That machine is a strange way separates human being from the wealth. Wealth pushes itself in one direction, and human beings remains in other direction. Human beings remain at the end of the bottom of the income level. That's their destiny. They always live around the end of the income level. If you put all the people on the map, on the measuring income level, you'll see 99% of the people are at the bottom level of the income chart. But the wealth is on the other side, on the top side of the map. There's lots of all the wealth is concentrated on the other side, and all the people concentrated in the bottom side. So there's a big distance between the people and the wealth. And that distance is getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. So that's a dangerous part. This is most explosive thing that you can think about. How to redesign that, how to make sure wealth and people come closer, so that ultimately wealth and people will live together. That's the destiny that we have to create, that wealth should not be separated out from people. People and wealth should be at one place, living together. And that you have to redesign the new machine, how to do that. That's the discussion that you're having when we talk about social business and all this. It's all about bringing wealth and people together and how to make that happen. Because present machine, it does the opposite. It pushes away the wealth from the people. People left at the end of the income level, and wealth flies into higher sky and the space and so on. So, and this is the reversal of the system that we have to move together. So another one is massive unemployment, which is threatened by the artificial intelligence that we keep talking about. So these are the three things which are coming in a big way to dislodge us from the way that we live in this planet. And we want to undo all those things. And that's where the question of this discussion that you'll be having, and DBA will be talking about what they are doing, and others who have done social business, they will be discussing. See, the simple thing is, we have designed only one kind of business in the world, and business for profit maximization. And everything that you have to do, you have to maximize profit. So that's the only business we could learn. There's no other way we can do anything, except there's another option, which is charity. Either you use the money to make money, or you give away your money to the charity purpose. So what we are doing, we are creating a third path between the charity and the maximization of profit. We are saying we can create another type of business to solve problems rather than maximize profit. Then it remains as a business, whereas charity is not a business. Business is a wonderful mechanism where money keeps circulating. It never ends. It always circulates. That's the whole idea of the business. Whatever money I have, I produce something, I sell it, I get my money back, I produce it again, I get it to you, sell it to you, and money comes back. In the meantime, money even grows. That's the whole thing. But in charity, money goes, it never comes back. So it's very uninteresting that there's only one-time use of the money. But in business, the way we know, as economists told us, is a profit maximization. So we don't care for benefit of the other people. So now we create a window of another opportunity called social business. Business to solve collective problems without any intention of making personal profit. Company may make profit, but the profit will be rolled back into the business. It will not be individual. So we are disconnected from the profit motive. See, profit motive was an idea which initially thought to be a good idea, but it created a greed, addiction. It became an addiction. We forgot about everybody else's existence on this planet. It made us very selfish. So that's why it became very dangerous. And as a result, all the wealth is moving in one direction because of that selfishness thing. You keep on accumulating. You create institutions which makes it happen. So this is the kind of experience that we have to create those instances, not out of any theoretical interest, just for practical things. Like we saw, for example, the people in the villages in Bangladesh, always traditionally used kerosene lamp because there's no electricity in the village. Bangladesh is a country of villages, more than 80,000 villages in Bangladesh. So cities are kind of exceptions, locations in here and there. But basically the country is just nothing but village after village. And all those villages don't have any electricity. So they used to use kerosene lamp. You're familiar with kerosene lamp. This is what the only thing that traditionally always knew. The idea that came to me that why the whole country becomes dark after the sun goes down, because kerosene lamp gives a very little feeble light. It doesn't give you much light. And I say, after all these years of human history, still people have to live in this feeble light. And as soon as the sun goes down, their all activities stop. You just eat and sleep. There's nothing else you can do because there's no light anywhere. So one idea that came, because it's at that time, the idea of solar energy is being discussed and so on. So we thought, can we bring solar energy in the village so that people can replace kerosene lamp by solar energy? Then the search began. How do you do that? And we started experimenting, and we came up with a solution. The solar system could be very simple and could be made very, very small because people doesn't need much electricity, they need very small electricity. And you can do it with the solar energy, renewable energy. So in one go, what we wanted to do is to move away from fossil fuel, contribute to the ending of global warming, and at the same time bring solar energy, a renewable energy, facing that. And then we came out with the business idea. We tell the people that give us the money that you spend for kerosene, and we'll give you bright light from solar energy. It's all yours. And people loved it. So it became a nationwide company by selling solar energy. But in that entire effort, we had no intention of making profit out of it, personally. Our only intention is to replace kerosene lamp by solar energy and cover the cost. And whatever surplus you can generate, very small surplus, you plow it back into the business. That's idea. So this is an example of what we meant by social business. There is a demand, there is a need, there is a problem, and you come up with a solution. A solution where you're not interested in making personal money, but you're interested in solve the problem. What's wrong if you still want to make personal money and bring solar energy and all that we thought? Is there anything wrong with making money with that? In the first look, it doesn't look like it's a wrong thing to do if you make money and still bring solar energy. But the dangerous part of it, the moment you skip the idea of making money, you forget that you want to bring the solar energy to the little people. You want to bring solar energy to the rich people, can give you big money and so on. And you forget that you wanted to give it to the poor people. So the money blinds you, profit blinds you. Profit takes you in a completely different direction. So I said, only way you can continue to do the service that you wanted to do, bring it to the people who are deprived, who need it the most. Only way you can do that, provided you forget about making personal profit. You focus on only one thing. The moment you mix profit and social result, sooner or later, profit will take over. Social result will disappear from your picture. So profit is a very strong element. The moment you add it into any social mission, sooner or later your social mission will disappear, profit motive will take it over. So the best thing is to keep the social motive alone and leave the profit motive alone, separate. You do your profit, you make it another business. We're not against that. But you don't mix social mission and profit mission in the same business. Then profit mission will take it over. That's what happened in microcredit. You are familiar with microcredit. We created microcredit to bring financial services to the poor people, particularly poor women, and it became very successful. But some people got the idea, oh, you can do that. You can give the money to the poor people and they pay you back and they pay the interest. Oh, let's make money out of it. Just started making money out of microcredit. So ultimately they became loan shark. We wanted to make microcredit as a social business, but the moment profit motive got into it, it became a loan sharking business. So it became the great loan sharks. And lots of, in that microcredit in Latin America, particularly, just turned into the loan sharks. They forgot about the original mission of social business microcredit. So we still insist on social business microcredit. So that's why this is one thing I wanted to warn you right from the beginning. Some idea may come, why don't you mix it together? Mixing is a dangerous procedure, that it takes away your mission that you wanted to have, focus on the thing that you wanted to solve, and so on. So this is how social businesses are created and so on. And this is a good time. It's a pandemic time, as I said, it's a reflection time. And I said this is a time as an opportunity to redesign it, to create a new world. It's not simply, we are not going to the old way, but instead of going old way, we create a new way to create a new world. And it's a simple idea that I try to bring up, saying that if you go to the old roads, you always end up with the old destination. Old road will never take you to a new destination. If you want to go to a new destination, you have to build new roads. So this is our chance to build new roads and design the destination that we want to go. And the destination that we define for ourselves, and you can examine during your workshop, a destination will be, we want to create a world of 3 zeros. Zero net carbon emission, so that we don't have global warming anymore left. It will be a world of zero carbon emission. And it will be a world of zero wealth concentration. Wealth and people will be living together. That's the idea. That's the direction we should be going. And it will be a world of zero unemployment. There will not be any unemployment at all. Everybody will be happy doing their own things. And that's the direction we should be going. So this is the purpose of getting together, chatting, sharing experiences. And I'm very happy to be in Bogota with you right now, with the University of Externados. And I have visited so many places in Colombia. It looks like my home. I want to go back and visit all those places, remote places, big cities, everywhere that I met many, many friends there. I still have all those friends. And I'm very happy to be with you today. And wish you a good discussion, enjoyable discussion, and a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Yunus, for your inspirational speech.
Thank you.
Indeed, we really need new roads to a world of 3 zeros. Considering the situation we are in, especially in light of the pandemic, we must work towards building a more equal and more safe and more accessible to basic healthcare services. Um, and the need is felt more now than ever. And so, with that, we now kindly request Ms. Lamia Morshed, who's the Executive Director of Yunus Center, to share her remarks. Ms. Lamia Morshed, please. Miss, you're on mute. Would you kindly turn your microphone on?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Basically, Professor.
Disconnected. There's some sound issue.
Hear me now?
Yes, I think maybe the headphones are creating a little bit of problem. Would you want to speak directly?
Okay,
Without
let me switch to my phone. I'll switch to my phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Please allow us a little bit of time while Ms. Lamia Morshed adjusts her system. It'll take her a few minutes, but meanwhile, I thank all of you for joining us. I see many familiar faces, many people from our YSBCs joining us, other academic institutions. So we are really honored to have all of you. As I mentioned, this is an introductory workshop on social business. And if you have any questions on social business, the Yunus Social Business Center, those are our academic collaborations. Today's workshop is as a result of one of our academic collaboration, as I mentioned, in Colombia. So we are working with two universities in Colombia, Universidad Externado de Colombia, from where Jose is from, and ICESI University in Cali. We're working with them to promote social business, not only in Colombia, but other Latin American countries. But this is again a global initiative. Everyone, anyone, any academic institution, big or small, you're all welcome to join our network. We are a 90 university strong network, and we really look forward to having more and more of you from all over the world. And with that, I see Miss Lamia Morshed is back, so please take it
Yeah.
off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Aziz, can I ask you to just share the screen? I have a short presentation. So basically, my presentation is intended to give a glimpse of the overall social business programs around the world, which started in Bangladesh but is now an international movement. So when we talk about social business, what do we mean? Professor Yunus defines it as a selfless business, a non-dividend company that solves human problems. Why do we have a social business? Because making money is happiness, but making other people happy is a super happiness. So we should have a business that targets that in human life. So a charity dollar has only one life, but a social business dollar invested over and over again has endless life. So charity has a very clear purpose in society since thousands of years, but it's not sustainable activity. Whereas a social business, which has the purpose of a charity, is behind with it the engine of business. Next. So we defined 7 principles of social business, and it gives us a framework for how what we plan for when we create a social business. So first, it has to have a very clear objective, a social objective, education, health, technology, access, environment, or any other issue that affects us as a society. It must be financially and economically sustainable. Otherwise, it's not a social business. The investors get back their full investment over time, but no dividend is given beyond that. When there's more money, when investment amount is paid back, profit stays with the company for expansion and improvement of the business. A social business must be gender sensitive and environmentally conscious. We also define that workforce in the social business will get market wages, but we argue that with even better working conditions than a regular business. And ultimately, going back to the quote from Professor Yunus, why do we do social business? We do it because it gives us joy. So we do it with joy. Next. So the whole social business journey starts with Professor Yunus in implementing Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. He did not plan for it, he did not speculate, he just jumped into it and trying to solve a local problem in a local way. Next. So these are some pictures of the activity in the field that some of you are, I'm sure, familiar with. Next. It was basically a bank established in 1983, which is based on trust and provides financial services which are collateral free and don't have any guarantees. Next. Next. So it works like this. Poor people receive a loan to start an income generating activity. They pay back the loan, and when they pay back, new loans are made. And this creates a virtuous cycle of investment and reinvestment. And the profits that the poor woman in the village earns, she uses to improve her life. She pays for education for her children. She receives a dividend from the bank, which she's an owner of. And so it's a virtuous cycle of investment and repayment and savings and further investment. Next. So in Bangladesh, more than $31 billion have been invested to date. There's 9.3 million borrowers, and they have collectively mobilized nearly $3 billion in savings. The recovery rate has always been, through this entire 40-year period, close to 100%. Next. What makes Grameen Bank stand apart is that it's a bank with a social purpose. The women have implemented 16 decisions in their lives. You don't see a bank that has this kind of social purpose where all of the members collectively decide that with their activities in the bank, they will improve different aspects of their lives. And this is the social development charter of the bank, and it's called the 16 decisions, and includes things like, I will send my children to school, I will build better home for myself, I will eat vegetables, and sell surplus in the market. So it's a whole charter, and these pictures here just give an illustration of what these 16 decisions are. And next slide. The bank actually measures the success of its program against 10 indicators, such as how many houses have the members built, do they have access to clean water, are their children going to school, do they have clothing, etc. So the measure of the impact is against these 10 indicators. Studies over time have shown that members of the bank have 50% higher income than those who are non-members. And they also have, no, sorry, 50% of the members of the bank have 50% higher income than non-members in a control village, and 25% higher income than non-members of the Grameen Bank village. The Grameen experience has gone to many countries around the world, and Grameen Trust is now operating programs in the US, in China, in Kosovo, in Yemen, in Japan, etc. And virtually every country in the world now has a microcredit program. Next. While Professor Yunus and his colleagues implemented Grameen Bank, they encountered other problems in the villages, such as lack of access to things like electricity or access to healthcare or access to education. In each case, he created a new enterprise to address this problem. So Grameen Shakti was addressed to the problem of lack of electricity. Grameen Shikha was created to address the issue of lack of education. Grameen Kalyan was created to address the issue of lack of healthcare. So these were the first social businesses that were developed in Bangladesh. So there were more than 50 organizations in Bangladesh that had a purpose of solving a particular problem and doing so in a profitable way, where the profits were reinvested to further the reach and impact of the company, not to make any benefit for anyone personally. Next. We created a series of international social business joint ventures, and I will touch briefly on one called Grameen Danone. Can we go to the next slide? This is a company that was created in partnership between Grameen and Danone to address the issue of child malnutrition in Bangladesh. It created a special yogurt that has nutrients in it that are missing in the diet of small children. Both sides invested with an agreement never to take out any dividends from the company. All profits that are made are plowed back into the company. And this is in Bangladesh has now involving 350,000 families. And this yogurt that is created is helpful in fulfilling the nutritional needs of children in the villages of the country. Next. So this shows what this yogurt is about and how women in the villages are engaged in selling the product, and the children in the villages are consuming it and improving the quality of their lives and their healthcare. Next. A second example of a social business is the Grameen Caledonian College of Nursing. This addresses the issue of acute shortage of nurses in Bangladesh by providing nursing education for the children of Grameen borrowers. And it does so through 3 different types of degrees: a diploma, a bachelor's degree, and a post-basic degree. So it works like this, that a woman the son or daughter of a Grameen Bank borrower can receive a loan which will cover his or her full education in the nursing school. And once they have become qualified, they will pay back the loan so that that money can be used to invest into the nursing education of a next person. So the whole thing again is a social business, and the borrower, a child who becomes a nurse, at the end of a certain period will have paid back all the money that he or she received for his nursing education. Next. So these are the degrees that are offered by the nursing college: diploma, bachelor's, and basic degree. And a new master's of nursing is now being introduced. So to date, we have 500 girls who are currently enrolled in the college, and over 1,000 that have graduated in 10 batches, and they're hired by the top hospitals. So they're coming from the poorest households of Bangladesh, but they're becoming the topmost nurses in the country. And this April, just this coming month, the nursing will shift to its own permanent campus, which is a beautiful building and facilities for the nursing college. Many of the nursing students have gone abroad for studies and have come back and become faculty. And many of them have gone to Glasgow Caledonian University in Scotland, with whom this is a joint venture. And many are enrolled also in specialist degrees in University of Dhaka and also in Japan. Next. So these are some pictures of the nursing college. So I wanted to mention these two social businesses that are very different from each other. One focused on child nutrition, one focused on nursing, to show what examples of social business can exist. Now there are several international social business organizations that are working and taking this message and practice around the world. It includes the Yunus Center, but also Grameen Creative Lab, the Yunus Sports Hub, the Yunus Thailand, Yunus Social Business, Yunus Foundation, Taiwan, and the Yunus Center Paris. Next. One of the main features of our Yunus Centers program is a program with universities which have established Yunus Social Business Centers, which teach social business, and has become a very powerful network of universities that are teaching social business. And there are 90 YSBCs existing around the world now, of which Externado in Colombia and ISESI University are a part. And then I wanted to just mention this, and you'll probably hear about this more from my colleagues, is that we have 2 web lectures every month where the experiences of all of these social businesses bring to a global audience to go deep into the experience of individual social businesses, and are saved later as a resource for students and academics to use when they teach or learn about social business. Next. In summary, I'm sorry for my long presentation. In summary, Professor Yunus, on the basis of experience, said that poverty is not created by people, but it's created by our policies and institutions. If we want to address poverty, there's nothing wrong with people. We have to redesign our institutions, and that's really the trigger for changing and addressing poverty. And then another conclusion that he came to was that human beings are selfish, but also selfless. But the current economic system is built entirely on selfishness. And he mentioned this in his remarks. And it's entirely in the pursuit of profit maximization, which leads to massive wealth concentration in the hands of a few. It's only if we bring selflessness into play in the business world that we will be able to address this issue of massive wealth concentration. And we can only do that through social business. The economic marketplace would look very different if we had a larger proportion of social business working locally and globally. Next. So basically, at the core, we say that the approach of microcredit and social business is that people, especially young people, should be allowed to use their full creativity to solve problems without constraint from predefined societal roles. And the young people at these institutes that talk about social businesses will be the ones that help us achieve, and this is the last slide, the target that Professor Yunus has set for ourselves, for our movement, which is to create a world of 3 zeros, a world of net carbon emissions, a world of zero wealth concentration for ending poverty, and a world of zero unemployment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lamia Moshe, for explaining about the activities and the whole journeys. With that, I would like to continue off onto my part, and I will be sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. So I'm having some technical difficulties. 1 second. Just please allow me a minute. Okay. I seem to have a bit of technical difficulties, but we shall continue. Um, Basically, I would be talking about what we do at Yunus Center, our focus on social business. As Ms. Lamia Morshid said, social business is, um, 1 second. Can you see my screen now? Can everyone see my screen?
No,
Not yet.
not yet.
Oh,
No.
okay, okay. So I'm Zinat Islam. I'm the Relations Manager, Academia Network, and I at Yunus Center work on our initiative called the Yunus Social Business Centers, which are academic collaboration with different universities around the world. So our purpose is to engage young people, the brightest minds, to think about social business and to develop their own social business and focus on social problems. From an early age in schools and university, we see that often the focus is on, studying hard, getting a great job in a multinational, and which are mostly profit focused. But social business offers an alternative way, and a way to address social problems and also make money for the company and make it sustainable. Sustainability is important because without that, the long term goal of solving a problem is not achieved. So it's very important for a social business to be sustainable and of course address the social problem. That is why we are working with academic institutions all over the world. We have 19 collaborations with institutions from 33 countries. Have recently been joined by 2 in Taiwan and 1 in Spain. And these are the YSBCs at different universities that are working to establish um, social business centers at the university. And through these YSBCs at the universities, we are doing social business workshops, social business competitions, and even providing, some of the YSBCs are providing consultancy services to other companies who may be interested in social business. So this is very important for us to reach out to young people. And we do these through doing our collaborative workshops, and one of which is today. This workshop today, we're going to discuss on social business. We have 2 social business entrepreneurs with us who will be sharing their experiences. Another way we reach out to all the audience is through our web lecture series, as Ms. Lamia Morshid mentioned. Unfortunately, my slideshow is not working, so I am not able to show you the slides, but we have had over 15 such lectures. And this is where social business practitioners and entrepreneurs share about their story. I already see someone in the chat box expressed interest about one of our social business. We'll definitely connect with you. These lectures are aimed at sharing what these social businesses are doing, how they've done it, the challenges, the problems. These are happening twice every month, the first and the third Monday. Each month, these are 45-minute long sessions, and all the information can be found on our social media pages, Yunus Center page and the YSBC Facebook page. Secondly, we are having uh, 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 East Africa Forum on Youth Entrepreneurship on 10th and 11th of April, where we will have a lot of our colleagues and friends and interested participants and in the East Africa region talking about their expectation, what they want to do, their voices, how we can make social impact in the region. And again, it may be East Africa focused, but it applies to everyone. Social problem is everywhere, be it a developing country, be it a developed country, and young people, all of you here today can make a difference. I know the 2 who have joined today, Diana and Jorge, were also in inspired from probably one of these sessions to make a change. And today they have a very successful social business called Bive, which is aiming to solve healthcare issues. And with the pandemic, I think it has really reflected that healthcare is extremely important, extremely important. With pandemic raging all over the world, and even now that the vaccines are out, inequality in the distribution of vaccines is something very important. That is why we ask for the vaccines to be a global common good, that everyone have access. It's a pandemic, it's affecting rich and poor nations equally, so equal access to healthcare and healthcare facilities is extremely important. So on that topic, from the Colombian perspective, we have our two colleagues, Diana and Jorge, who will be sharing about their experience. And now I kindly request Diana to start the conversation about how they are addressing social problems in healthcare in Colombia. Diana?
Yes, hello. Good morning.
Good
Let
morning.
me please share screen. Can you see now my screen?
Yes, it says loading, but it should be here. There you go.
Okay, perfect. So good morning. I am Diana Quintero, and I am here with Jorge Garcia. We are Vive co-founders. And before to start talking about Vive and its business model, I want to share with you the story about how we create Vive, because it started pretty similar that we are that what we are here today. We started 10 years before, attending a conference about social business, and personally I was pretty confused because I was in the last semester of my undergraduate. I studied business administration, and I didn't feel so engaged with the idea to work in the corporative world. So I was a little confused about my future. And then in this event I met, I don't met personality, but I knew about Professor Muhammad Yunus, the idea about social businesses. And in that moment, everything makes sense in my life, because I found a way to combine my skills and my knowledge about businesses, and also my passion for serving and solving social problems. In this event also, I met Jorge, who was like a last semester student of medicine. He was also so curious about to find solutions for helping his patients to solve health access problems. And we met Dr. Jorge Gronda. He is a social entrepreneur. He founded Sistema Ser, that it's like a social enterprise that facilitates access to healthcare for low-income people in Argentina. And we identify some similarities between the problems in the health sector in Argentina and the problems in Colombia. And we asked Jorge Gronda to help us to replicate his model in Colombia. And he said, that's okay, just go ahead, and if you need anything, let me know. And then 2 months later, we launched a pilot project in a small village in Colombia. The pilot project was called Bienestar, and it was a system where people buy a membership card and they can access to private healthcare services like first level basic services with a discount of 50%. So we start running the program for 2 months, and at the end of the 2 months, we identified some conclusions about it. The first one was that we needed to change the name, because Bienestar, it's like a kind of, it's similar to a government agency in Colombia. Second, the program worked. Users and doctors were engaged with the idea to participate or to be part of Vive. That it was moment was Bienestar. And third one, we also knew or meet people as Angie Tatiana, that we inspire us to keep moving with the idea. And Tatiana was in that moment a girl of 7 years, and if you can see in the picture, she has a deformity in one of her feet. This kind of deformity could be solved through therapies in an early stage. But because of the problems of the healthcare system and because her family doesn't have the money to buy for a private therapist, she was not able to attend this therapist and she was not able to walk or run like other children. So basically, like after these 2 months, like we start working on the idea, and then in 2012 we graduated from the university and we needed to make the decision to what is next in our life. So we decided to really focus on Vive and to transform this pilot project in a formal company and dedicate us full time to work in our project. And in 2012, we officially launched Vive, that is a social enterprise that facilitates access to high quality and affordable healthcare services for low-income people in Colombia and especially rural families. So for people who is not so familiar with the context of the healthcare service of the healthcare services in Colombia, most of the families, they have access to a healthcare insurance, but it doesn't mean access and quality. So they suffer from long waiting times to access to services, a lot of administrative procedures, and low quality healthcare infrastructure that prevent us to have high quality healthcare services and yes, and live histories like we see with Angie Tatiana. So we created Vive, that it's a low-cost membership, a low-cost annual membership that allows family to access to a network of more than 200 healthcare providers that partner with Vive. So I want to provide an example in order that you can understand a little bit how to work that in the real life. So for instance, if you are sick, you have a gastritis, you have 3 options in order to go to a gastroenterologist that can help you. The first one is if you go through the traditional healthcare system, you have to go to the general doctor and then you have to wait 2, 3, 4 months to access to the gastroenterologist or more time if you require a kind of diagnosis service. The second option is that you can go through the private sector, but you need to have around $50 or $60 in order to pay for the consultation, and you can go in less than a week. But if you are a Vives member, you can go through the private sector in less than a week. And because we have like a special partnerships with doctors that are part of our network, you pay for this service, but you pay half of the price that normally is in the market. So you pay around $20 or $30 in order to access these services. People is member of Vive through a membership card that it's like a low-cost membership card. It's $3. It's $3 per person per year. And because Jorge and I came from our rural families, we wanted to extend the program to the rural community. So we partnered with rural associations, farmer associations, in order that people from the rural communities can access to the service. So working with rural communities, we identified that we needed to go beyond providing the access through the Vive program, and we created social projects that bring directly to the rural areas healthcare services. So for instance, we have one project that we partnered with Pfizer Foundation in order to provide treatment, diagnosis and treatment of eye diseases such as cataract. What other of our projects bring like a kind of mobile mammography to the rural communities in order that women can access to diagnosis of breast cancer and also cervical cancer. And now we have in these almost 10 years, we have served around 33,000 people in 8 regions in Colombia. Our vision is to continue growing, engaging digital health in order to serve the most isolated and vulnerable people. So here I am just telling you the nice story about Vive, but now I want to pass the floor to Jorge that will tell you a little bit more about the ups and downs that we have had in this story. Jorge?
Yes, hello, thank you, Diana. I would also like to share my screen so I can take it here. Okay, so I guess I'm sharing my screen here from where we are in our impact. And I wanted to say that one of the main knowledge we've had, and something that we can share with you, is that we really started with we really started from the early beginning when we were just students in the university, and coming to this new as like working, having worked 10 years from now, we face many difficulties over time. Sometimes when you are beginning, you have a lot of energy, but then you also do not realize that this is a long-standing career on sustaining your business and sustaining also a team. So I'll share with you my screen again. Okay, so now you are in the screen here. And then I just wanted to flag where we are in Colombia, in the middle of Colombia, in the coffee region, and some of the pictures we've had along our work for these almost 10 years. We were very young when we started, and now we look kind of different in different social business as well. But I think this image capture is all like a roller coaster. So you have to face not only when you start, but also you have to face many difficulties that come over time. And I just want to note some specifics. For instance, building a strong team. We knew from the beginning that one of the main strengths we had as Vive is the complementarity in our team. We were both co-entrepreneurs. Diana had a business background, I had a medical background, but you also need to build a strong team. And sometimes you find good people, you find people that do not follow the expectations, and then you also need to. There's a lot of people coming and going from your core team, and you need to really keep the effort and keep the your energy on delegating and on building with more people, and attracting them with the purpose that you're following through your social business. Second, I would also like to highlight that not everything, as Diana said, uh, is good. What happens as well is that we almost broke and we almost had to end Vive when we were around 5 years, 4 or 5 years with our business, and that was because things from the financial sustainability perspective were not going as we expected. So that created such hard times, especially for the entrepreneurs, because you really need to say to yourself, am I willing to continue this? Am I willing to really, do I feel that purpose? And what would happen if we were not there anymore? And I think in that specific time was when Diana and I found, let's say, the energy to continue and find another ways of creating impact for our communities. Then the last thing I would also like to mention is how important it is to build, let's say, solid pillars as well for your business. And Diana and I were talking that the real success of a business, it's not only making impact, but also making that impact last over time. And that sustainable impact means you need to have solid pillars in terms of leadership, in terms of involving more people, and even in terms of making the social business run even if you're not there. That's the main success of an entrepreneur. And finally, how did COVID affected us? I think that's a topic that we should also comment. And we were very, we liked that during this COVID year and this last year and a half, we were able to sustain like all our team. We were able to continue providing benefits to our beneficiaries, And we even launched a new project on Vive without coronavirus, focus on increasing coffee growers' education on how to prevent coronavirus and how to early diagnose or to identify symptoms related with coronavirus, so they can get the attention they need. Then where we are now is that after all these roller coaster of these years, we were now a medium team. You can see that most of our team members are women, but coming to this specific point has required also some lessons to be learned, and that's what we want to share with you. I think the first lesson would be to really identify what is the social problem, and that is something that really moves you, because when difficult times come, is that sense of purpose and that sense of creating something for beneficiaries is what will make you continue with your effort, because difficult times will come, but how strong are you in the sense of purpose of the impact you wanna have in the community, and not only yourself as an entrepreneur, but also within your team. Have you been able to communicate that effectively? Second, what are the resources available? And when we started, Diana and I, we had no resources more than effort and energy and youth, let's say. But I think we managed to work with the time, with the knowledge, and with the money that was available from other people and other institutions. We were really good connecting those three resources: time, energy, knowledge, money, from example, from people, from volunteers, from other academics, from other businessmen and businesswomen, and also from even other institutions. So Yunus institutions, especially like Yunus Social Business Colombia, was very important on helping us on those early stages to connect with the right investor, with the right training, with the right potential institutions, and even with the network of healthcare providers that eventually became part of our business model. Then find a team. As we mentioned, it's not only about you as an entrepreneur, but it's also about how good are you on getting the right people on board and making them feel the purpose that you have. And it is a marathon. It is not a velocity career. You just don't want to get in 1 year or 2 years to one point and then disappear as a social business, but you want to last over time. We're now around 9 years working with Vive, from the pilot until we're now a settled social enterprise. We want just to last for many other years to come. And we've found that some of our fellow social business that start with us 9 years ago, just after 2 or 3 years, they just had to close, and we're still here thanks to the other pillars of learning I told you. And finally, start small, but start. That means it's better to go directly to the community, to start piloting and testing what is it that you want to do, instead of just building a business plan, a very large business plan, and to have every variable controlled before you actually can go and start testing with the community. So we will also have some time for some questions if you just want to drop those questions in the chat before we close. And I'll just go to my last and most important learning from all this time, and is do it with joy. So this is from last December that we met with our team, and I think this has always been something we have enjoyed doing as a team. And I love this picture because this really represents what the essence of our business as Vive. There you can find Yunus, there you can Professor Yunus, there you can find ourselves, our team, our network of healthcare providers, all very happy of working together. So I think that would be all. We will be happy to please go into our network's web page, Facebook page, and feel free also to drop us an email in case you want to connect. And I think we have some time as well for some questions, Senat, and maybe one or two questions if someone wants just to ask something or put that in the chat. We're happy to take one or two. Over.
Okay. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, you can put in the chat box. We will also have a group work at the end of this session where you can also ask your questions. But thank you, Jorge, for your speech. As you mentioned about challenge. Businesses come with challenge. Social business also come with challenge. But it's all about overcoming and not giving up. And especially, I think the need for social business and the need to fight challenges is now, we feel the need more now than ever. And if we don't, and in your last slide, as you said, you have to start somewhere, start small, but start somewhere. And I think university students and young people should really take inspiration from this speech and start somewhere. And as Professor Yunus said, we cannot go back to the world we left. And we now have an opportunity to build a better future, and we should. This is our power, our moment to shine, and us young people can do it. As you see, Diana and Jorge are shining examples who have started, and all of you can definitely do that. And again, if you need any advice on social business, how to start, you please write to us at ysbc@unuscenter.org, and send us a message and we will get back to you. We not only are Yunus Center by ourselves, but we have sister organizations, Grameen Creative Lab, Yunus Social Business, Yunus Environment Hub, which focus on environmental problems, Yunus Sports Hub, which focuses on sports, related social business. We have a 90 network of YSBC and ever growing. So it's a huge network. So if you need to know more on social business, reach out to us. We will definitely find ways to work together.
Yeah,
And,
I also wanted to say something, and it's that importance of the networks. And we really benefit from networking with Yunus Social Business in the early stage, but now we've seen that there are many and many more institutions and people around the global social business movement that are willing to help, are willing to mentor you, are willing to connect you with resources, are willing you to drop knowledge as well to you. So that would be definitely a good advice to connect with all the networks we have, especially with the Yunus one.
thank you. Again, we have many more networking events coming up. The East Africa Forum on Youth Entrepreneurship is one on April 10th and 11th. I mentioned, please check out our social media pages for the links to register there. We will also have our Social Business Day in June 28th. Again, a big global event. We have a Social Business Academia Conference, which is again very important for academics and students. You can present your academic papers on social business. The information is on our website, Social Businesspedia. So if you are an academic, you're a student, you want to do research on social business, please grab this opportunity. You please present your papers and ideas. You don't know who will be seeing it. You may be connected to more academics, and also expand your network, enrich our activities too. So thank you for being a part of our sessions always. And with that, I would like to welcome our academic advisor, Professor Jahangir, who has helped me tremendously to organize this workshop and has been helping us for all our activities by giving his guidance. So Professor Jahangir, please take it off from here.
Thank you, Jinath, for your wonderful introduction. Let me to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can.
Can you see my
Yes,
PowerPoint slides?
Yes, we can clearly.
Okay, thank you. My presentation is going to be on importance and the challenge of social business in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. Basically, I'm going to, this is the outline of my presentation. When I'm going to discuss about the importance of social business, I'll be concentrating on two things. One is wealth concentration and inequality, and then I'll be talking about corporate greed. So these two things will actually help us to understand why social business is important right now in this world. And then I'll be talking about two challenges of social business. One is a performance management, another one is a motivation for doing social business. So basically, all of those who are from social business, social science, especially from economics and finance, we know that the modern capitalism that we have right now has been in place for 250 years. And under the capitalism concept, we know that invisible hands work, and all of us, if we work for our own benefits, and at the end of the day, our cumulative efforts are going to ensure benefit for the whole society. So this is the basic understanding. That means this invisible hand mechanism works for everybody, and it benefits the whole society at the end of the day. This is what the understanding. Now the question is, does it work actually? Does it work for everybody equally in the society? And the answer is actually no. And I can refer one particular book, which has been written by Thomas Piketty, one of the top, right now popular development economics in the world. He's from Paris School of Economics. He wrote a book titled Capital in the 21st Century. He has actually mentioned or explain how inequality is growing. Especially, he gave emphasis on top 1% in the world, and I can give you some numbers from his book. So basically, what he is saying that the top 1% of the population in the world is getting more. The major portion of wealth is actually getting concentrated in the hands of this top 1%. Now, the question is, why does it happen? He has given a simple explanation, and which helps us to understand why is it happening. He has a simple equation that R is greater than G. R stands for return on capital, and G stands for generally economic growth, and which is also used as the growth rate in the wage of the majority people. Okay. So what he says that if the return on capital, average return on capital for the capitalist is higher than the growth rate in the economy, what happens? This mechanism or this process helps with the rich people to get more, and it helps them the system to help the rich people to acquire more wealth, and wealth concentration gets concentrated in the heads of this 1% or the rich people. Now the question is, why does it happen? So the explanation is that when return on capital gets higher, so what happens, these rich people, they have got plenty, and their income is higher than what is required for their maintaining their lives, the living standard. So they have got surpluses, and they continue reinvesting those surpluses all the time. So ultimately what happens, they get more money continuously, and the volume of their wealth gets bigger and bigger. On the other hand, the majority of people, what happens, even if their wage rate goes up by the growth rate of the economy, what happens that these people, they are mostly their income is not enough for their maintaining the living standards. So ultimately, most of them are deficit surplus units. That means their surplus or savings is negative. So ultimately, they don't have anything left for reinvesting or investing. So ultimately, their capital or the wealth doesn't go up, or it remains constant, or even sometimes since they have got negative savings, that's why their wealth gets deflated or goes down. So ultimately, what happens, the inequality between very rich people and the poor people gets, bigger and bigger day by day, and the wealth gets concentrated in the hands of few. So that's why what he says, when R is greater than G, the amplification mechanism for existing inequalities continues. Now, the question is that, in all of us, we know that in economics and finance, that in capitalism, we always prefer competition. We consider that the economic activities are going to be done under, the competitive system. Now, the question is, does it help? Does this competition mechanism, which we pursue in the name of efficiency, is good enough? So I can give you some, empirical, results from different papers. For example, Armin Falk and Nora J argue that pursuance of, of competition contributes to erosion of moral values. That means if we only concentrate on competition, that deteriorates the moral value in the society, because mostly those who are very rich, for the sake of making more money, they don't bother destroying environment and alternating food for maximizing benefit. Okay, so again, another example, Hong Bing Kai and his colleagues argue that in their paper that competition encourages unethical behavior in the markets. Andre Schaefer also in a paper that unethical conducts and corporate greed are the consequences of, market competition. That means he also mentioned that market competition contributes to unethical conducts as well as it promotes corporate greed. And we know that a very famous example of corporate greed and its consequences, we know that two big organizations like WorldCom and Enron collapsed due to the, the greed of, the CEOs or the top executives of the company. And when these two companies collapsed, thousands of people lost their lives, lost their jobs and their livelihood in the United States. So the point is that the competition, the way it is happening right now in the economies, is not promoting social benefits, is not beneficial to the majority of the people in the society, and it's not contributing to the betterment of the majority. But the point that we are trying to make that though we are saying these negative comments about competition, but it doesn't mean that we are not in favor of competition. We are in favor of competition, but that competition needs to be done in such a way that corporate greed doesn't play a big role in that competition, and that's the point that we need to make. So the point is that you see we know that there is a transmission mechanism that works in the economics, through which the economic growth is translated into the well-being of the majority of the people in the society, which we call trickle-down mechanism. The point is that this trickle-down mechanism or the transmission mechanism is not working. It has collapsed. I can give you some examples from the United States, which is the #1 capitalist country in the world, and which the country which we follow for economic betterment and achieving economic growth. For example, in the United States, the majority of the people, that means if we make a comparison between the lowest 5% and the top 5%, okay, bottom 5% and top 5%, the average income of households of bottom 5% was 33,000, a couple of years ago, And it was, on the other hand, in comparison, it was 1.2 million for top 1% um, of the population. Okay. Sorry, sir. The comparison is these 33,000 was the lowest 20%, and the 1.5 million was for the top 1%. And again, I can give you another example. Between 1979 and 2007, after tax income increased 275% for the wealthiest 1% of households, whereas it rose 65% for only the top 5%, and for the bottom 5%, it was only 18%. So you see the difference. It was 275% for top 1%, whereas again, within the top, 5%, that is a huge, disparity, inequality. When top 1% had an increase of 275%, whereas top 5% had an increase of like 65%. But the bottom 5% had an incremental rate of only 18%. Okay. Another example I can give you that when in 1970, since 1979, the main wage rate in the United States for white dropped by 1.4%, whereas it dropped by 9% and 8% for Black and Hispanic people. So you see there is a racial, discrimination in the process that takes place in the United States. That means when the wage rate is reduced, it gets less reduced for white people compared to other people in the United States. Interestingly, in America, majority of the workers, they are paid hourly basis. And one interesting thing is that half of them have no formal control over their schedule. 2 in 5 hourly paid workers aged between 26 and 32 know their schedules less than a week in advance. Okay, so the interesting thing is that in America, for majority of the people, economic growth rates are simply some mere numbers. These numbers are not translated into their well-being, into their improvement in their livelihood. So we can get some more numbers from one of the most famous reports, which is yearly published on regular basis by Oxfam on wealth concentration as inequality. We know that from this report, top 1% in the world own more wealth than the wealth of remaining 99% in the world. For example, 2 years back, it was 51% for top 1% people and 49% for remaining 99% in the world. Another interesting number, the 26 richest people on earth in 2018 had the same net worth as the poorest half of the world population. That means 3.8 billion people. So total wealth of 26 richest people was more than the total wealth of 3.8 billion. That means 384 people in the world. Another interesting number, the amount of wealth ownership of only 8 men and the poorest half of the world is the same. Okay, and currently what happens if we talk about the economic growth, and from the economic growth, top 1% is getting 82% of the economic growth. Only you see why I said before that trickle down mechanism is not working, the transmission mechanism is not working, because of the reason that out of the economic growth that economies achieve, only 80% go to remaining 99%. Top 1% gets 82%. So inequality is increasing dramatically, we know, and I can give you an interesting example from since COVID-19 pandemic. That interesting thing is that when millions of people are becoming unemployed and poor, the world's 500 richest people have added approximately $1.8 trillion to their combined wealth in 2020, bringing them a total net worth of $7.6 trillion. This is coming from one of the famous index, that means Bloomberg Billionaires Index. So you see, when millions of people lost their jobs as well as livelihood, these rich people, the wealth went up by $1.8 trillion. This is what the scenario is out right now happening. So the point is that if we talk about this inequality and poverty, why does it happen? Actually, poverty doesn't happen automatically. It is created by the people. It is created by the policies and institutions. And it is created by those people who govern the economies, those who control the economies. And number of these people is very few, And right now, what is happening? 795 million people do not have enough food to eat. 12.9% of the population is undernourished. Malnutrition causes nearly half of deaths of children under 5. 250 million children are not going to school, are dropped out. And another dimension from the gender perspective, if we make a comparison between dropout of boys and dropout of girls, the number is 100 boys of primary school age who are out of school, 121 girls are denied the right to education. So you see, girls are denied the right to education more than boys. So this is the gender. Though the scenario, actually, this scenario is better in Bangladesh because we have more girls in schools than boys. But this bright picture is not happening in many parts of the world. Every day, 10,000 people die because they lack access to affordable healthcare. Every year, 100 million people are forced into extreme poverty due to healthcare costs. So again, I'm going to some points which show the gender dimension of inequality. Men own 50% of more of the world's wealth than women. So women own less. The 22 richest men have more wealth than all women in Africa. The unpaid care work done by women is estimated $10.8 trillion. You see, our mothers, brothers, sisters, and our wives, what do they do for us at home? We don't pay them, but the value of their activities is approximately $11 trillion. So we haven't been able to add this value or these activities in the calculation of GDP. This is the limitation of economics. We haven't been able to do it, but we will have to actually create a mechanism to do it in the future. So with less income and fewer assets than men, women make up the greatest proportion of world's poorest households and proportion in women. In development economics, one interesting thing that we know that if a household is headed by a female, that household is more likely to be poor than a household which is headed by a man. This result comes from all persons. It's not the case that it happens in Bangladesh, or it happens in an African poor country, but the same thing happens in rich countries like United States as well. Now I go to one particular thing that health inequalities in the USA. So again, though we consider the United States of America is one of the richest country in the world, but it doesn't mean that everybody in the United States has same access to healthcare benefits. Thousands or millions of people in the United States do not have access to good quality healthcare facilities. Okay. I can give you a number. 1 in 5 low-income Americans said that they went without care because they couldn't afford it. And only 1 out of 25 high income families said the same thing. So from these numbers, we can see the extent of disparity, inequality with respect to healthcare access in the United States. In 2018, one study found that medical expenses pushed 7 million people below the federal poverty line. So in America, access to healthcare is so expensive that if a family requires going for taking health services from the hospitals, that causes, brings that family, if they are just above the poverty line, it brings them below the poverty line because it's so expensive. In 2015, 1 million people declared medical bankruptcy. That means they couldn't be able to pay off the expenses they incurred for getting medical services from the hospitals. So now I want to focus on one thing, that is corporate greed in the health sector. I can give you an example, Biogen. Biogen is one of the top pharmaceutical company in the United States. They have got a medicine which cures multiple sclerosis. So interestingly, when they started this, medicine, took the patent as well as got the approval of FDA, they calculated the wholesale acquisition cost at $54,750 for a treatment course. And interestingly, in 6 years' time, they increased that price to $94,991. That means the price of that medicine increased by 137.5%. Whereas during the same period of time, inflation, the total cumulative inflation was around 11%. So when inflation was only 11%, they increased the price of that medicine by 137%. Without any explanation. Why did they do it? I can give you another example. This is also coming from one of the top pharmaceutical company, Gilead Sciences. They had a medicine which was approved by FDA in 2020. So the medicine was for treating hepatitis C, and the name of that medicine was Sovaldi, but the brand name was Sofosbuvir. So they had a 12-week treatment course they determined through the trials, experiments that they had, and they estimated the price of that pack treatment course at $84,000. So that means $84,000 for 84 pills, 1,000 per pill. But interestingly, one of the top university in the United Kingdom, Liverpool University, they calculated what was the actual production cost of making that 12-week treatment course. They estimated it, they gave a range actually. They said it was in between $68 and $136. So we see, okay, take it the maximum one, 136. When the production cost was 136, they were charging $84,000. And interestingly, the generic version of this medicine was available in India at that time at only $300 for the whole treatment course. That means you could get the same package, same pack of 84 tablets or pills at a price of $300, whereas it was $84,000 in that. So basically, what these examples are showing that these corporations or the big pharmaceutical companies, they want to maximize their profit, and the greed is working, and they don't care about the social benefit, they don't care about the poor people, they don't care about the health condition of the majority of people, they don't care. So I can give you an interesting example that in America, during President Obama, he enacted an act called Affordable Care Act, which is actually popularly known as Obamacare. And this Obamacare had an interesting story. you can see a face on the left side of the screen that she is Miss Natoma Canfield. She wrote a letter to Obama, President Obama, and she was mentioning what she was paying to her insurance company as premium. She said that she paid $6,700 in 2009, and though she paid $6,000, around $6,000 in 2009 to that insurance company, the insurance company actually paid only $935 for her treatment, only $935. And interestingly, the next year, what happened? Despite that scenario of $935 paid by insurance company, that insurance company increased her premium by 40% in 2010, and it went up from $6,075 to $8,500, or and it was, and she wrote that letter, and she was mentioned that she thought that she would be dropped out of the system, and she wouldn't be able to get proper health care due to the reason she wouldn't be able to pay that premium. So understanding that thing, she wrote a letter to President Obama. She mentioned this case, and after receiving that letter, President Obama understood what has happened to the majority of the people in the United States, and then he enacted this Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, and he tried to make sure that majority of people get access under the health coverage. Though when Trump came, he actually canceled this Obamacare. He tried to cancel it, but he couldn't be able to do it due to the reason that he hadn't enough support from the Congress. So I can give you some numbers from the share prices of some companies, which are going to show you that the extent of corporate gain. For example, I have given examples of 4 insurance companies and their share prices between the incremental rate between growth rate between 2016 and 17 and 2005 and 16. If you look at this column, this row, so you can see that the share price of Anthem went up by 227%. Same incremental rate for United Health was 37%. Cigna, it was 29% for Cigna, and Humana, it was 29%. For the pharmaceutical company Biogen, most probably they had some problem in production, but their share price didn't win that much. It was average growth rate was 2.87. But I'm just making an example comparison between these numbers with the increment rate in the share prices of 2 major companies in the United States. One is Ford and Walmart. For Ford, it was minus 6.65%, but for Walmart it was 13.53. But then what I've given the thing in green is that the average growth rate in the United States between 2005 and 19, it was only 1.67%. So when the average growth rate was the growth rate was 6.7%, the Anthem's share price went up by 227%. So the thing is that it went up because of the reason they were making more money. Their return on capital went up significantly, and that's why their share prices also went up. And the point is that when we know that majority of the people are not getting access and they are not properly getting benefits from the insurance companies, and why they are not getting the proper coverage by the insurance companies, but they were making money a lot, ignoring the benefits of the customers and the majority people in the United States. So in the last three rows, you can see the return on equity, return on assets, and return on investment for. Now, I'm showing another scenario. What is the racial inequality with respect to poverty in the United States? If you look at the distribution of the population with respect to different races in the United States, Asians were 6%, blacks were 13%, Latinos were 18%, and whites were 60%, others 2%. But if you make a comparison between population rate as well as the poverty distribution, you can easily see that these minorities are poorer than the majority. When only 6% people were coming from Asia in the population, but if you look at the total size of the poor people in the United States, 12% people were coming from Asia. So that means you see that Asians were disproportionately poor in the United States. The same comment applies to black people as well. Black people are only 30% of the total population, whereas for among the poor, 20% people are black. For Latinos, the number is like, in the population they are 18%, but in the poor population they were 23%. So that is actually racial discrimination as well as happening. And the point is that, again, it also reflects that the market mechanism is not working. Corporate greed is actually working as well as, and the thing is that those who are minority in the United States, they are not having proper access to the infrastructure and other benefits, and that's why their income level and the living standard is not improving. Now the question is, should we allow to continue this status quo? I'm just quoting from one of the speeches of Obama, and what he has said is tremendous, is very applicable to our social business movement. It is also helpful for us as well to understand that the status quo is not working. Professor Yunus also says the same thing: status quo is not working. We cannot go back. We have to move forward with a new system. And I'm just reading out from Obama's speech. This pandemic has shaken up the status quo and laid bare a lot of our country's deep-seated problems, from massive economic inequality to ongoing racial disparities to a lack of basic health care for people who need it. The old ways of doing things just don't work. That it doesn't matter how much money you make if everyone around you is hungry and sick. And then our society and our democracy only work when we think not just about ourselves, but about each other. So what he says, that the status quo is not working, the way the capitalism is running is not working, the invisible hand mechanism of working, the competition that we give emphasis on is not working, and the transmission mechanism is not working, the growth is not going to the bottom, and the trickle down mechanism is not working. Now the question is, should we allow the current scenario to continue? Should we allow? Okay. Should we allow the status quo of exploiting the majority to continue for maximizing the profitability of a few? Should we allow a few pharmaceutical companies to monopolize the forthcoming coronavirus vaccine? This is what the Professor Yunus has been saying from the beginning, that the coronavirus vaccine should be a public good. It shouldn't be under the patent rights of some companies, and shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't allow some pharmaceutical companies to make a lot of money. Some of you know that the German couple who actually helped to innovate one of the vaccines, they have, after the innovation of this vaccine, they have become one of two of richest people in Germany. Should we allow insurance companies to make most vulnerable people out of, keep most vulnerable people out of the health coverage in the name of risk minimization? The answer is we shouldn't. So what should be answered? What should we do? We should actually do social business, promote social business to overcome these problems, to reduce the inequality, reduce wealth concentration, and to improve the benefits of the majority, to improve the living standard of the majority. So the point that I have tried to make is that the current scenario of wealth concentration and inequality, as well as corporate greed, because of these things, we shouldn't allow the status quo to continue. We shouldn't allow the businesses to run the way they run. So we have to promote social business, And my colleagues have already explained what are the characteristics of social business, and I'm not going to explain these characteristics or 7 points of social business. So now I'm going to focus on challenges of social business. In social business, since it's a new concept, we have some challenges, and I'm going to focus only on 2 challenges. The first challenge is is performance measure. Since in social business we do not give emphasis on profitability, but it doesn't mean that we should do non-profit, because Professor Yunus says that social business needs to be financially sustainable. This is what it is. So we need to be sustainable, and that's why businesses need to earn profit. But the point is how to measure the profitability, the performance of the social businesses. This is a big challenge for us. Right now we are working on it, and though from empirical results of some research projects, we have some indicators to measure the performance of social businesses, but still we have this challenge, and we need to overcome this challenge in the future. And second thing is that, since in social business owners are not allowed to take profit, to take away the profit from the business. So what are going to be the motivational factors to pursue someone to start a social business? This is what is important. I can start with a point from Professor Yunus. What he says that investors of social businesses get happiness instead of dividend through making others happy, as money doesn't buy always happiness. So what he says that making others happy make you happier. This is what his argument is, that through doing social business you are going to help others to be happy, and that's why you should go for doing these social businesses. So I can give you some, there are some points. I'm not actually going to go through these points because most probably I'm running out of time, and I can see most probably Janath has sent me a message, but I can see it. Okay, so I suggest all of you to go through these points. In these points, what I'm trying to make is that from the psychology literature as well as positive psychology literature, we know that earning money is not the end of the story. Though we know that earning money is important for our happiness, but the relationship between making money and happiness is not linear, is not straightforward. And we know that up to a level of income, the happiness increases with increase in the income level, but it doesn't go up after that level. It levels off, or sometimes even if it becomes negative. So making more money actually doesn't increase the happiness, rather it decreases happiness after a level of income. There are some results have been mentioned. For example, the loss of happiness in market democracy. You can see the thing that I mentioned, that they say that relationship is correlation between income and happiness is close to 0 in rich countries. That in rich countries, the increased income doesn't increase the happiness level for the majority of the people. The same argument has been made by Professor Keogh and his colleagues. Another professor, he's a very famous, Andrew Oswald, for his work on happiness and well-being. And he has also mentioned the same thing, that it doesn't work. But what he says that if you are happy, it makes you more productive. The point that I'm not trying to relate with Professor Yunus' comment is that Professor Yunus said that if you do social business, it's going to make you happier. And if you are happier, it's going to make you more productive. And if you are more productive, your income is going to go up. So that means doing social business actually is translated into increase in your income at the end. So now I'm just quoting from Professor Yunus' comment is that if we can, so I have already mentioned that corporate greed is actually playing in the competition the way we're doing businesses, and that this greed is making businesses not beneficial to the majority. So what he says is that if we can take out selfishness and greediness or greed from this our economic activities, we can make businesses more social oriented, society oriented. So this is what he says, and that's why we need to go for social businesses. So this is the last slide. Already my colleague Jinath has mentioned about this. We are going to have a conference in Nairobi on November 5th and 6th in 2021. We have got already circulated call for papers. I urge my colleagues from the universities and students from the university to submit their papers or cases, and we welcome all of you to that conference. We want to see you in that conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Jahangir. This was really an informative session. And again, if any of our audience have questions, please do write to us at ysbc@unicenter.org, and we'll be answering all your questions. I know this has been a long session in parts of Asia, in Bangladesh. It's kind of late at night, but I thank you for your patience and being with us. The interesting part of our session today is we'll be having our workshop part where all of you will be randomly divided into three groups with your mentors in the group. Jorge, Diana, Professor Jahangir, myself, my colleague Shihab would be leading these groups. And the purpose is to engage with you, to allow you to think of a social problem collectively as a group once you're divided, to think of a social problem and how you will solve it in a social business way. So think of a social problem that affects you, affects your society, maybe a social problem you have thought of that you have faced during the pandemic. Healthcare may be one of the important ones. Everyone has touched you or your family, or lack of services. The system hasn't been able to support the rush of patients, or even the vaccine. Are you able to get it, or whatever has happened in this part during this pandemic? So please do engage in our discussion and share your opinion and thoughts in your group work. Please raise valid questions. I'm sure the mentors would be happy to discuss them with you. And with that, I would like to kindly request our tech team to divide the group into breakout sessions. Just a reminder that once a breakout session happens and you discuss, that is the end of this session. We will not be coming back to the main part. Rather, we will be ending the session once the group session is finished. So I request the group leaders, Professor Jahangir, Jorge, Diana, Shihab, to start your talk once